This looks more like this middle-aged man went to Hot Topic and bought a Serpentor onesie.
How much will this cost me?
Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to G.I. Hello there, my YouTube minions. It is I, your unfriendly neighborhood Skeletor. And today I, Skeletor, present to you what would the characters from G.I. Joe look like if they were redesigned by an artificial intelligence art program, as instructed by me, Skeletor. I'm going through the whole list of 80s cartoons, one at a time.
I find that hard to believe.
And Cobra Commander, your time is now.
Yes, and you should have invited me sooner.
I can't wait to see how an artificial intelligence program reinvents that no-face-having fool, Cobra Commander.
I hereby order you to abandon your insane experiment.
But anyway, without further ado, let's watch these, shall we? Now, for those of you who want to stay to the very end, I have a surprise for you. You ever wanted to know what I, Skeletor, or He-Man would look if we were G.I. Joe characters?
How original.
Stay to the very end, as I shall present you with those images as a reward for sticking through it. Anyway, enough blathering. Let's get to it.
That's what you said hours ago.
Now, my first character is Sergeant Slaughter.
That Joe is Sergeant Slaughter. All right, it's about time.
And to be perfectly honest, Sergeant Slaughter was probably one of the easiest characters I ever had to do.
Gotta make it look good.
Although on the first try I didn't get it quite right.
My mother told me there'd be days like this.
While he does look Sergeant Slaughtery, I would say his face looks more like it belongs on Reno 911 than on G.I. Joe.
Yeah, thanks.
He looks like he's going to give you a traffic ticket. But still, the body and hat are very slaughtery.
It was supposed to.
The second one here looks a lot better.
Good.
Way more Sergeant Slaughtery. Right down to the chin. Look at that chin.
I can't fight you.
Now that's a man's chin.
I know, let's keep it that way.
I would even say this Sergeant Slaughter looks more like Sergeant Slaughter than Sergeant Slaughter himself.
Makes my blood boil.
Anyway, this was my Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah, okay, it was good enough.
Now, because I started off with Sergeant Slaughter, I wanted to go with his arch nemesis, the one that, when you watch the cartoon, you always wanted to see them fight. And that was Serpentor.
Introducing Serpentor, the ultimate Cobra Emperor.
That Serpentor was a lot harder to make. The outfit itself wasn't too bad. For some reason, getting that headdress was a really difficult thing to do, as demonstrated by this first image. Again, not a horrible image. This looks more like this middle-aged man went to Hot Topic and bought a Serpentor onesie.
How much will this cost me?
Look at that. The body looks alright, but that headdress definitely looks like he bought it at Hot Topic.
I ask a question, I demand an answer right now!
Well, yes, it does look silly. You can see the elements are all there. But the best one I did was this one here.
Interesting.
Again, I do like his body. The body here looked, to me, the best one I was able to do. And the head, which was the most difficult part, and this kind of looks like he actually killed a real snake and put it on his head.
Where are all my vipers?
So it looked a little more menacing. The guy in the suit, however, not so much. He does kind of look like a soccer dad. I don't think I could see this guy saying, "This I command!"
Do not get flippant with me.
Well, I don't think it's the best I've done on this list. This was the best Serpentor I could do.
Thanks to you.
Which brings me to my next hero. And that one is Roadblock.
Introducing Roadblock.
I'm burning to give you some learning.
Again, Roadblock wasn't the hardest to do. Perhaps he was a little harder than Sergeant Slaughter, mostly because of these straps here. I wanted to get them just right.
You got it.
Because Roadblock had a very simple look.
What do you mean?
Not sure which one is my favorite, this one here or this one. They're both kind of similar. I like this one only because his gun looks a lot cooler. It looks weird. I don't know what this part is.
Can't be all bad.
But I don't know, it just looks a lot bigger, and Roadblock is supposed to have a big gun.
That's no lie.
And no, it's not a double entendre. I'm actually talking about his gun.
You crazy, dude.
I don't know what you guys were thinking about. Get your head out of the clouds there, ladies.
Disgusting. Yeah.
Now, this next villain was kind of a weird one for me. And I'm talking about Zartan.
Introducing Zartan.
Hello,
as you can see on my first attempt here.
you moron.
Now, Zartan was, again, not a hard one to do, but see how he's got that nice long burgundy hair? To my chagrin, when I looked into it, I found out that he never actually had hair. He had a hood, like me.
Of course.
Now, be honest with me. If you only looked at the cartoon, would you think that this was hair or a hood? Because I always thought it was hair.
Who plays the fool now?
And even the toy was kind of a hard one to figure out as well. It didn't look like a hood. It didn't look like hair either. And to be honest, I have no idea what the hell they were going for with the toy. Looked more like they placed a burgundy rag on his head.
I hate it!
So I, Skeletor, am kind of embarrassed to say this, but I, for some reason, always thought that he had long hair and not a hood.
You twit!
So I had to rectify this with this picture here. And there he is, Zartan with his hood.
Impossible.
All right, ladies who are watching this, you can clean up the drool here.
Take me away.
Remember, Zartan's an evil villain. And again, so am I.
You can't fool me.
Now for my first female character, and one of my favorite girls from the 80s, and that is Scarlett.
What I do declare.
Just to show you how bizarre the AI program can get with my first image here, and this in no way looks like Scarlett.
Who was it?
And this is one of my most early attempts here. I have no idea what the heck is going on with the legs over here.
Would you believe 3?
Now, I did tell the AI program to make a run. Maybe they thought they were doing some kind of motion blur thing here. I don't know. Maybe they thought she was a roadrunner. Beep, beep. I don't know.
Burn it.
Why she's making that face? She looks like she's making a oh my god face. Like some kind of 80s valley girl.
Sure is.
And she's like, oh my god. Like, why do I have 3 legs? That's like too many legs to shave.
I know, like, oh my god.
Who are you?
Now, granted, I had to work on this character for a long time to get it to look right.
It's a challenge.
For a lot of reasons. Now, the second one here is actually pretty good.
So far, so good.
There was some weirdness going on here with his bow and arrow. And I know she doesn't have a bow and arrow. I said crossbow, and AI does what AI wants to do. There's not much I can do about that. The outfit looks a lot more closer to Scarlett.
No.
She looks badass. I mean, a lot more muscular, not Tila muscular.
It's time to turn this mush into muscle.
But, you know, believable that she'd be a warrior.
But I'm all woman.
The thing I really didn't like about this was, for some reason, they decided to give her a weird camel toe thing here.
Look.
I mean, look at her abs. They go all the way down to the bottom here.
Yeah.
Those are either really weird abs or one really big camel toe.
Totally.
Yikes.
Couldn't even call that a camel toe. More like a dino toe. I don't know if anyone told you, but you're showing a lot of dino toe. You might want to have that looked at, Scarlett. It's a bit weird.
The situation doesn't make sense.
Anyway, the third one here, for me, was my favorite one.
That's it?
She looked pretty in the face. Her outfit looks pretty spot on.
Thanks.
Her boots look like she's going to a construction site, but again, not horrible. What I actually really liked was her crossbow gun crossover here thing, which I never told them to do. They just did this on their own and actually thought it looked quite badass.
You did a great job.
So this was, for me, the best Scarlett I did.
That's some kind of soldier.
All right, now, since I did a female hero, I'm going to show you my female villain as well. And that is, of course, the Baroness.
We're stealing the capsule!
And with him are the evil new Cobras, the Baroness.
Good evening, Miss.
Granted, the Baroness wasn't a hard one to do. Let's be honest, her costume is not very dynamic. An all black leather outfit. Really, the only thing I had a hard time with was the Cobra symbol. Now, this one, again, not my best one. Although, not a horrible one.
He's learning everything!
I don't know why they decided to make the top of her shirt sort of see-through. Not that I'm complaining, mind you. I'm just letting you all know for the record that I, Skeletor, didn't order this. This is all the perverted AI's doing. I take no responsibility for this.
And?
But I did try to make a Cobra symbol, as you can see, and it didn't turn out quite as good as I wanted. But anyway, again, not a horrible one. My next one, it's pretty good. I finally got the Cobra symbol here to look a lot better.
All the better. Now vanish.
I don't know why they gave her a Cobra zipper as well, but sure, why not? It's a bit too dangly for someone to get into combat. But I really liked the face, a little more cartoonish.
Don't I look different to you now?
I'm not taking responsibility for the cleavage. You know, it's hilarious. People are probably out there thinking, why are all these girls got such big jubblies? That's right, I said jubblies. I'm a fan of Austin Powers. What of it? They said not machine gun jubblies.
Machine gun jubblies? How did I miss those, baby?
Although I wouldn't put it past AI to do that. But anytime you see a breast size, just realize that Skeletor did not emphasize breasts at all.
You don't have to.
You can't even type breasts on there. So if you have a problem with her wide cleavage, just know I had nothing to do with it. Although I will take responsibility for selecting it.
All's fair in love and war.
Alright, now for the last one, her from the rear. Again, you can see the Cobra symbol on the back. Not exactly accurate, but she looks more badass in this. More badass, I said, not something else.
Is that any way to treat a lady?
The funny part is, the reason why she's showing her rear side, well, it's all due to a spelling error. In my prompts, I typed up black leather one-piece outfit, and I was supposed to type black boots, but instead I typed up accidentally black booty, and I guess this is what they decided to do.
Stupid fool.
Just so you know, this was all a very happy accident.
Yes.
Anyway, this, for better or worse, was my Baroness.
No man alive will be able to resist the Baroness.
Next on my list is one of my favorite G.I. Joe characters. Not really because of his look, but more of his personality. I've always liked this character for some reason. And that is Shipwreck.
Introducing the new Joes, Shipwreck.
Shipwreck's a crook!
Now, my first Shipwreck was kind of a wreck. Again, I have no idea what the AI was thinking here. For some reason, when I said sailor hat, they decided to give her this hat, which looked to me more like a painter's hat than a sailor hat. Or why they put some weird rope-looking G-string thing on him.
Well, that's a heck of a question.
I promise you all, Skeletor did not say make a sailor man with a G-string.
Sure, who'd notice?
It's things like this that make me realize that AI still has a ways to go.
Bet your clams on it.
My next one was pretty funny, as I tried to emphasize the sailor in him.
Looks like you're asking for trouble.
That sailor hat that he wears was really hard for the AI to figure out, so I tried to lean heavily on the sailor prompts here. So the next one, for some reason, they made him Shipwreck the Sailor Man. Well, blow me down.
Popeye, the sailor.
And knowing is half the battle.
But unfortunately, I was never able to perfect that hat. This was the best hat that I could do. It's more of a captain's hat and not a sailor hat, which is what Shipwreck has. His beard's a bit long. He looks like a duck hunter's version of Shipwreck.
Your beard's so hairy, you look like Chewbacca.
And his bird's a bit small. Again, size doesn't matter, right?
Belay the one-liners, Polly.
But to be honest, this was the best Shipwreck that I had.
Definitely worth watching.
Not the best in the world, but Shipwreck definitely isn't a train wreck. Yes, pun intended.
Sorry to interrupt such sophisticated repartee.
Now for one of the more popular and recognized villains, and of course, Cobra Commander's second in command, and that is Destro.
He's a terrifying enemy of G.I. Joe. Destro is his name.
Time has come.
Destro was an interesting one to do. His outfit wasn't the hardest to get right. That collar, though, was impossible. This one looks like Destro, played by Bautista.
That is called a practical joke. I have famously huge turds.
Your attempts at humor do not amuse me.
Face looked more like it was painted on, and not exactly made of metal. Either way, this is one silly-looking Destro.
Incompetence.
So then my next one here, I wanted him to look a little more menacing and a little stronger. And this is what I got.
I'll crush you like a box of crackers.
Now, I actually really like this Destro. The colors make him look like he's Dracula from the 70s.
Don't be ridiculous.
And I don't know why this Destro is showing more cleavage than the Baroness.
This is degrading.
I did say make him muscular, but this is like He-Man levels of muscular.
I think not.
But still, I actually kind of like this one. This next one is my favorite one.
Thank you.
Again, he does look muscular, but a lot less muscular than before. I really like the face. He looks a lot more menacing here. Color's not 100% accurate.
How would you know?
I had a hard time with this collar. He looks like Destro borrowed the shirt from Larry from Three's Company.
You are dangerously mistaken.
Start worrying.
My only qualms with this one was that they made his whole body metallic, as we all know. Just his face was.
No.
But, you know, beggars can't be choosers.
A fitting end to this absurd scheme.
All right, now one of my favorite looking heroes, and that is Shockwave.
There's Shockwave!
About time, too.
One of my first attempts was this one, which, you know what, looks pretty good.
Well, looky here.
Why he's in this pose? I'm pleading innocence on this.
Pull your damn pants up, boy. I don't want to see that.
But I'm starting to believe that the AI art program is a lot more perverted than we think.
Yeah, makes me want to puke.
But as far as it looking like Shockwave, I'd say it's pretty decent. We got the right hat and mask, the blue camouflage with blue vest here. Although I don't much care for this vest, nor do I much care for what the hell he's doing with his arm either.
Sure know how to be sneaky.
Well, at least not in public.
Spanking it, smackety smack. If I ever catch you whacking in here again, I'm gonna hog tie you.
The best one I got was this one here. And you know what? I really like this one.
I gotta give you credit.
He's holding the rifle in a more appropriate manner.
Come, take a load off.
Looks a little more ninjistic with his face and hat there. So all in all, this one was my favorite attempt at Shockwave.
Figured you'd double-cross me.
Now I gotta straighten up in here.
Now for my next villain. Now this villain here is, you know, one of my favorite looking Cobra villains. Well, Cobra minions anyway. And that is the Crimson Guard.
Crimson Guard's the most dangerous foe.
The Crimson Guard was another hard one to do. Yes, a lot of these G.I. Joe characters' outfits are kind of bizarre. You know, trying to get the right helmet with the right face mask and visor. Now, this was one of my first attempts. The face did look horrible. I have no idea why when I said helmet did they put a condom on his head. But other than the helmet here, I actually didn't think it looked horrible. Not a big fan of what's going on the shoulders either.
The world's first snake-flavored pretzel.
This next one, again, not perfect, but, you know, still pretty cool. The helmet looks alright. The pants and boots are pretty good. Definitely does look like a Cobra minion, but just not as cool as a Crimson Guard. And my next one, it's to me my favorite one, as I think this one is the closest I got. The helmet looks alright. I really like that face. And, you know, the outfit here looks way closer to a Crimson Guard. Got that button-down soldier outfit. He's a little more muscular, so he looks like he could actually be an imposing soldier. And you know what? It looks all right. Crimson Guard always looks like what the future of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police might look like. Throw down your weapons and put your hands up in the air, eh? Sorry for the inconvenience, eh?
How are you? Good day. Like, why is there no back bacon flavored gum?
Anyway, this is the Crimson Guard. Alright, now this is my actual favorite looking hero, and that is Sci-Fi.
Sci-Fi? So that's what happened to him.
Now, I had a really hard time with Sci-Fi's helmet. Just had a hard time with the visor and the helmet. And if you think he looks a lot like RoboCop, well, that's not by accident. The only way I got it to look right was when I said, make his helmet in the style of RoboCop. And that's when it started to actually look a lot better.
Seemed like a good idea at the time.
But maybe it looks a little too much like RoboCop's helmet, and less like Sci-Fi's helmet, but it was still a work in progress, and not a bad attempt.
Oh, thanks.
But I think I got the helmet pretty much down pat for this next one.
I hope so.
I really like this version of Sci-Fi. The silver armor here is a little more decorative than the original, but I actually like it.
It'll do.
For me, the helmet looks really good. A lot less RoboCop and way more Sci-Fi. The green and black straps here. I think for me, the reason I like this character, for some reason, the combination of silver, black, and green. I don't know. I like it.
Kind of puts a warm fuzzy right here, don't it?
Maybe I should change my outfit to silver and green. Nah, I'm purple and blue, and I'll stay purple and blue.
You deny them cute little critters just a tiny taste?
Anyway, this was my favorite version of the character Sci-Fi.
All this for that?
Now on to my actual favorite villain, and that is the Bat.
And that's an android trooper!
The Battle Android Trooper.
I mean, it's one of the best looking ones for me, and probably the only one of Cobra Commander's minions that I, Skeletor, am jealous of.
Like a hole in the head.
It was strong, efficient, and took orders without question. There was no bat talk. In fact, the bats never spoke at all. You just told them what to do, and they did it. And they were pretty efficient at it as well.
What are those crazy bats doing?
I, Skeletor, wish I had some bats in my employment.
Because unlike you, Bat has a brain.
So this was one of my first attempts at a bat. I mean, you can see how it looks like a bat. It's, you know, more of a cute-looking bat. Not exactly my best work, but you can see all the elements are kind of there.
What in the world are those things?
I don't know why they put a motorcycle helmet on him, but the chest part to me was one of the best parts of this image. But for me, my favorite one was this one here. And I just think this one is a completely badass. I really like this one. Probably my favorite AI image to date. The face looks very batish, while his chest area isn't quite as big as maybe the bat's is. It kind of looks like a control deck that maybe Cobra Commander or Destro could just program when it wants, or just play Bejeweled when they're bored. Come here, Bat. I'm bored. Let me play Bejeweled on your chest.
Well, it's not a total loss. Junk.
You will serve my purposes, but now for what I would call the most popular G.I. Joe character of all, and that is Snake Eyes.
What's that? Snake Eyes!
The hardest part about making Snake Eyes was the face shield. I mean, how do you actually describe it? It's like a ninja mask with a medieval knight's shield. I really had a hard time trying to figure that out.
You know what we're doing?
But I actually did an alright job eventually. Some of my best ones here. I really like this one. You can see the visor here looks pretty good. While I don't believe it looks exactly like Snake Eyes, all the elements are pretty much there. And if ever there was a different version of Snake Eyes, as there's been several,
What's this all about?
this wouldn't be a bad one. My next one, more of a frontal look. Again, you can see my attempt to try to make that visor here. You got the ninja sword, his gun, and the visor again looked pretty good, but to me it still looked a bit too much like a motorcycle helmet.
I don't believe I've ever seen this before.
But my favorite one, the one that I think looks the most like Snake Eyes, was the last one here. To me, this one says Snake Eyes all the way.
This is getting serious.
The visor, not exactly 100% accurate, but pretty good. There was less body armor on him, looked more like a ninja, which in the cartoon, this is pretty much what he looked most like. He didn't have all that armor on him. For me, this was my favorite version of Snake Eyes.
Way to go, Snake Eyes!
Now, of course, if you're going to do Snake Eyes, well, that means, of course, the next one is Storm Shadow.
But we captured Storm Shadow. Yo, jump!
Be a ninja warrior. You must have perfect balance.
And Storm Shadow wasn't a hard one either. Pretty much all you have to do is say White Ninja, which is why my first attempt looked like this.
Behold!
You know what? This is pretty badass. But typically this could be any White Ninja.
Try again.
This was my first attempt, but I wanted to get a little more detailed with it, of course, because Storm Shadow has specific traits. First and foremost, his weapons. He's got the bow and arrow, and he's got that Cobra symbol on him. Now this next one here, which I actually really liked. You can start seeing like he's got the bow and arrow here. His outfit looks less traditional ninja and more modern ninja, but you start using words like Cobra, and then it starts giving him snake eyes for some reason. He's got more snake eyes than Snake Eyes does.
You shall pay dearly.
Which I always thought was confusing. With the name Snake Eyes, it sounds like he should be a member of Cobra, and not G.I. Joe.
I must put an end to this.
Maybe they should have changed names. Snake Eyes should have been called Storm Shadow, as, you know, shadows tend to be black, and Storm Shadow should have been called Snake Eyes as he's a member of Cobra, and it probably made more sense.
Let's reconnoiter, Snake Eyes.
But whatever. It is what it is.
You had no right to interfere.
But for me, this last one, not too far away from the last one, except for, you know, more of a human-looking face and less of a Snake Eyes-looking face. And while not 100% accurate to the cartoon, but I would say kind of an upgrade for me.
The fates have smiled on me this day.
And she looks a lot better, if I do say so myself. But let me know what you all thought.
We shall meet again.
Now, down to the leaders of the group. And we're gonna start with Duke.
Introducing Duke.
Try to destroy this.
No, again, Duke wasn't a hard one to do as far as the outfit was concerned. Orange-yellow shirt, green camo pants, pretty standard, blonde, short-haired cut. Although this one made him look a little more GQ than I would have liked.
That's weird.
All the elements of Duke are definitely here. Not sure why they gave him an Italian belt. He wasn't the greatest Italian hero. He's a Duke. No, maybe he just bought an imported belt. I don't know. This is a more menacing and angry version of Duke. This looks like a Duke that is probably upset that he's taking too many pictures. Are we done with pictures here? So he's holding this grenade in his hand. He's like, if you don't stop taking pictures of me, I'm going to pull the pin.
You don't really believe that, do you?
I call this Sourpuss Duke. I wanted to see what Duke would look like if you put the helmet on him.
Let's check this out.
He looks a little more revved up and ramped up with his helmet on. He's like, all right, I got my helmet. I'm all ramped up. Let's get those Cobra scumbags. But the last one here is my favorite one.
Now what?
Mostly because he looks a lot more rugged, more military, less GQ, more serious. They put a green hat on him. I didn't say put a green hat, but for some reason it was a happy accident, as I actually think he looks good with that green hat on. For me, this one looks, I don't know, the best looking Duke. He looks serious and ready for action.
Worst part is that creep could be right.
This one looks more like a true leader of the G.I. Joes. Well, until General Hawk takes over.
What happened?
But I'd follow this character into battle any day.
Let's get out of here.
Now, of course, for the character you're you're all probably most interested to see, at least I am, and that is Cobra Commander.
Cobra Commander, he's the enemy of G.I. Joe.
You have a way with words.
Now, there's a few different variations of Cobra Commander, but I decided to only focus on one for this video. I decided to save those other Cobra Commanders for maybe a future video. But I did do my favorite Cobra Commander, and that one is this one. Again, this was probably my very first attempt at Cobra Commander. As I, Skeletor, laughed hysterically when this one came out.
Incompetence!
I actually came up with a whole backstory for this image. He was a former member of the 80s rock group Devo. Unfortunately, he couldn't whip it as good as his colleagues.
Whip it good!
Always trying to do things his way.
Something's going wrong. Tattoo detective.
They said, you need to wear a red hat. And instead, Cobra Commander said, no! No! I want silver! It's better! And because he was unruly and uncooperative,
Shape it up! Get straight!
they kicked him out of the group.
We'll never live it down.
Which led Cobra Commander down the path of conquest. That's why he decided to form Cobra for world domination.
Men will suffer for this!
And he chose the Cobra because he was making fun of the whip in the song Whip It. I'll show you. I'll whip you with my Cobra. Now, of course, because he was a popular member of a rock group, he didn't want to be seen, so that's why he started putting on his helmet and visor to keep his anonymity. Anyway, that was my backstory for this picture. I said whip it! Whip it good, Destro!
Right away, Commander.
I could have been a great stand-up comedian.
Now let's get serious here. It took me a while to get the helmet right. Once I did, it actually started to look pretty good, as this is my second picture here, which I actually really like. Military outfit. He's got the Cobra symbol on his helmet, which was a happy accident. I didn't tell them to do that. Sometimes AI weirdness works in your favor.
I like that.
What I didn't like was that he was sitting on some kind of weird office chair here. Made him look like he was going for a job interview.
Not on your life.
Going for a job at Burger King or something. They're asking him, what are your credentials? He's like, well, I used to belong to a group called Devo, and I know how to whip it good.
Whip it good!
Sorry, you're just not what we're looking for in a burger flipper.
You have ruined my greatest plan!
So I wanted him to be more imposing. So I said, I want to see Cobra Commander sitting on a throne. And so I got this one here.
What?
Now, of course, this is technically a throne, but not exactly the kind of throne that I was looking for.
Another catastrophe!
This was absolutely hilarious. Destro! I said get me 2-ply! This is 1-ply! A pain I, Skeletor, know quite well.
This fiasco has gone on long enough!
Anyway, this was Cobra Commander on his porcelain throne. Aside from the throne, this is a pretty good Cobra Commander, I'd say.
No!
You can tell this is the 80s, though, because he doesn't have a phone in his hand.
This can't be happening!
Anyway, my final and favorite Cobra Commander is this one here.
An impressive display.
As he's got the throne, he looks really accurate to Cobra Commander. He's got a more imposing and cooler looking gun. I have no idea what this is on the arm of the throne, but whatever. We'll ignore that. Some weird decorative design. But other than that, I think this is a very accurate depiction of Cobra Commander.
Smooth move!
I don't know, it's between this one and the one where he's on the toilet. I can't pick which one I like better, but I'll leave it to you.
Good riddance to bad rubbish.
All right, there you have it. These are your G.I. Joe characters as redesigned by AI, and I actually thought they were quite fun. Now, as I promised to thank you all for sticking to the end, here is what it would look like if He-Man or I, Skeletor, were part of the G.I. Joe universe.
Oh, no.
Now we'll start with He-Man. Now, while designing these, I wanted it to be recognizable as both a G.I. Joe character and, of course, He-Man. And I actually thought it did a pretty decent job.
What a mess.
Although I have no idea why the AI decided to make He-Man look like Henry Cavill.
Makes me sound weird.
I had never really considered Henry Cavill for He-Man, but after seeing this, you know what? I actually don't mind it.
I'm a big fan.
Henry Cavill might actually make a good He-Man for a film.
Absolutely.
Now, of course, for me, Skeletor. Now, my first attempt to make myself a Cobra Emperor was this one here. No, I really like this one here. You can tell that I'm an imposing Imperial leader, not only because I got this cool Cobra throne, Look at how I man-spread here, showing my toxic, evil masculinity.
Disgusting is more like it.
Well, who asked you?
See, men, don't ever be ashamed of man-spreading. I, Skeletor, like to spread.
My power even amazes me.
Anyway, this was my first attempt, but really, this actually looks more accurate to the commander of Cobra, as I'm wearing Cobra Commander's outfit.
That is disgusting!
Doesn't leave a lot of ballroom, I'll tell you, which is why it's hard for me to spread with this tight suit on.
Just what everybody needs.
Anyway, this is me as Skeletor Cobra Commander.
This is insane!
Anyway, if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to Shaneology. Until next time.